lovely colleagues from Ikoka. Graeme, thank you very much for being here. And you'll be sharing with us about your product as well. And Sis Brenda, hi, welcome, and thank you for being here. And you will be sharing from your viewpoint as a user as well and your story.
Yes.
Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for the compliments. And yeah, welcome to everybody on the call. Hopefully we can make it a good session for you.
Great, wonderful, thank you. All right, with that note, let's see if there's anything. I think, yeah, we kind of chatted a bit there on the results. And this is good for you to see as well, Graeme, as maybe it could be also a nice way for you to help you with some conversational points around the results and the opportunity and the possibility on how Ikoka can answer some of these questions or shift some things if need be.
Yeah, absolutely, Rebecca. I think that first question is very interesting for me, and that there's, as you mentioned, there's quite a broad spread. And yeah, some definite talking points in that second question around things like fees and ease of use, and sort of what is the broad spectrum of options available for customers. So we'll definitely get into the detail on that and hopefully shed some light on it.
Great. Thank you so much, Graeme. And it's on that note, really, I would like to take this opportunity, and my colleagues had briefly shared just now on the partnership between all these lovely people, these organizations, SEDA, IBASA, and the EPI. Thank you, everyone, for making it. And please feel free to share with your colleagues as business practitioners about the space where they'll have an opportunity to connect with Graeme Cumming, who is the Chief Growth Officer at Ikoka. He has more than about 20 years experience of leveraging technology to make people's lives better. And he's pioneered and streamed television in Africa. And you all know how I love my Africa and our Africa. So it's great that you have that footprint and you are working at that level. And you've managed the creation and the growth of the DSTV Now. That is awesome. I think I have that app. Thank you, Graeme, for bringing that kind of technology and accessibility to us all so that we can be more addicted to our televisions.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but yes, that was my background for 20 years. And yeah, I found myself in a completely different industry in fintech. So still fairly new and feeling my way through the fintech space. But yeah, thanks for the intro there.
Great. No, thank you very much. And I think I'll hand it over to you to kind of get us started. And my colleague Christoph will then share. You'll let us know when you would like us to share your slide, and I hand it over to you. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Rebecca. Yeah, maybe just to kind of follow on from the intro there, you know, as I said, I joined the team at Ikoka going on sort of 11 months ago, beginning of this year, and come from that media and entertainment world. And I think, yeah, for me, one of the big attractions around, you know, this team was the sort of impact that I think you can make at an SME level and the impact that you can make with small business owners. There's a lot happening in the fintech space. To talk to sort of Ikoka and who we are for a little bit, we've been around for 10 years. The three founders of this business essentially set up the business to, I guess, address the sort of lack of attention that was being paid to this part of the market. I think a lot of the banking solutions were really focused on the top end of the market, and you know, some of the complications, some of the rates, fees, some of the rentals around those card machines became quite prohibitive for small business owners to really, I guess, participate in this digital payments economy. So that was one of the reasons for setting up the business. We've been going now for 10 years, and I think, you know, the first sort of 10 years of our journey have been really around a story about card machines and, you know, various iterations of card machines, various price points around those card machines. And we're now starting to, I guess, dip our toes into this broader space around payments, the sort of e-commerce play and the digital payment space. So I think, from our perspective, it really is about our purpose, our mission. We like to think is, how can we easily help entrepreneurs to start, manage, and grow their business? And all of our products, all of our thinking, everything that we do is really geared towards speaking to that purpose. And for us, it is a privileged position for us in that, we speak to a lot of merchants. We're impacting a lot of businesses at this level. And when I talk SME, there's broad definitions around what SME is. From our perspective, it's everybody from sort of your weekend trader, that person who's maybe making handmade goods and selling them at markets on a weekend, to side hustles, all the way through to sort of your professional services, be they, I don't know, coaches, doctors, yoga instructors, and everything in between. So it's quite a broad sort of, I guess, addressable market that we talk to. And what we've tried to do is, I guess, make sure that we're solving problems in that part of the market. And the problems, as you've kind of alluded to in that second poll question, are things like, high fees from banks, or maybe accessibility of these machines, or having to pay or rent those machines on a monthly basis. And for small business owners, this just kind of puts, I guess, participation in the payment space a little bit out of their reach. And so we've developed a suite of, an ecosystem of products. Maybe if we go to one or two of the slides, I can just quickly talk through what those products are, and then I'll talk to sort of the problems that we're solving with them. But while the slide's coming up, on the sort of low end of our device range, we've got our entry-level product, which is it retails for a couple of $100 and really is a device that you pair with your smartphone. And the beauty about it is that, once it's paired with your smartphone, you're able to take credit card payments. So that's almost a very low cost or low barrier of entry to get small business owners into accepting payments from their customers. That's what the device looks like. And it doesn't do anything like, printing of receipts. The assumption there is that you've got your mobile phone in your hand, and, if you need to send a receipt out, you open up the application and you're able to email that receipt or SMS that receipt to your customer. So we regard this as our entry-level device. One up from this entry-level device is our second device, probably on the next screen there. It's called the Shaker Solo, and this is probably a device that a lot of the audience are more familiar with. It's a traditional sort of card machine. It's able to print a till slip, and this device, I guess, is also a sub R1,000 once-off purchase. The thing with our devices is there is no rental on these machines. You buy them once off and you own them. And, as many transactions as you can put through those devices, there's no sort of hidden cost. There is a transaction fee, which we'll talk about. But this device is really, I guess, positioned at those merchants who are maybe doing higher volumes of transactions and are needing to print slips. So typically things like your restaurants or your retailers or your food and beverage stores would benefit from a device like this. And then on the upper end is our flagship device, and this is just recently launched. It's what we call a smart device, in that it's Android based. So it runs an application on that screen, and we can update that application. So after you've bought the device and you own the device, we will continue to send updates and push updates into that app. And as new features and additions and, I guess, things that we've yet to develop, as we launch those things, we'll be able to push them. So the merchant will get the benefit of ongoing improvements to our product set. And this device is currently retailing for around $1,799. So call it, R1,800. And it really is, I guess, our flagship, in that it has a big LCD screen. It prints slips. And I guess one of the sort of feedback points from our merchants is around, these devices all connect via SIM cards and make use of the mobile network. Some feedback from merchants has been around, potentially their card machine is not working, or if they're in a weak signal area, they're not able to facilitate the transaction properly. So what we've done with this device and with the Solo, in fact, is we've got dual SIM cards in there. So, we can put a SIM card from, two mobile operators in there to make sure that, we get around that issue. And if you've got poor coverage from one operator, the chances are you'll have better coverage from the other operator. So, yeah, I think these devices are kind of the cornerstone of our business in terms of, I guess, getting merchants up and running and being able to take transactions or facilitate payments from their customers. But as I said, I think one of the things, and we can talk about it today, one of the things that we certainly learned around, I guess, the COVID period was there was a definite shift in user behaviors in terms of how, consumers started buying their goods, and, a lot more online transacting. I mean, I think it's well documented that we've seen the biggest growth spurt in e-commerce and sort of, let's call it social shopping over the last sort of 2 years, and really driven by the need to not have contact with a merchant. So to either do a contactless type transaction or an e-commerce type transaction. And, I think from our perspective, recognizing that change in behavior, there've been a couple of things that we've launched in the sort of last 12 months. And one of those is the ability to, I guess, use your mobile phone as a card machine. So you don't necessarily have to buy the device if you've got an Android mobile phone. And, if we take the split of devices in our markets between, iOS and Android is by far the biggest portion of, I guess, mobile operating system in our markets. So if you have an Android mobile phone and it's NFC enabled, and NFC is just an acronym for near field communication. So that technology that allows you to tap onto a card machine is called NFC. If your Android phone is NFC enabled, you can actually download our application for free. There's no charge to going to the App Store and downloading the app. And you can you register yourself and you go through a FICA process so that we know where to settle those funds, but you can use your mobile phone as a card machine. So there's really, I guess, almost zero cost to starting to take transactions now for merchants. And a lot of this has been driven by, like I said, the need to move to contactless, the fact that we are a mobile first economy and we're a mobile first country. I think I read a stat the other day about, we have more SIM cards and mobile phones than we do people in this country. So we're more than 100% penetrated. Those merchants, those consumers, the chances are they're doing a lot of product discovery. They're doing their research when they're buying products. So the importance of tapping into that mobile audience is I guess, a trend that we've had to build product against and make sure that we have, we can meet the demand on that. But I think for this audience, super important to recognize the role of mobile, the role of digital, I guess, shop fronts, and not just, physical stores. And I'd love to maybe get some questions and explore that as part of today's session is, what needs to happen from a merchant's perspective to take advantage of all of these different payment methods and technologies.
Wonderful. I mean, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Because my question would have been, why? Because you have the one where you can just use your cell phone. Because you shared the
yes, the one that pairs with Bluetooth.
Yes, the mover or the shaker, like Shaker Solo, or the flyer, right? But then you also have the one where you just download the app and you can pay with that. And
Correct.
that is reasonably, I don't know, it's less than the other costs, but you'll break down the cost just now, or maybe Cindy can answer the questions around the pricing in the chat. But I'd really recommend that people put their questions in the Q&A so that some of those questions can be answered. And Cindy is busy answering some of them. But why would I use the machines if I can just download the app? Why?
Yeah, it is a great question. I think depending on your use case, right? So if you're a casual trader, and let's say maybe you've got a side hustle where you're making jewelry and you're selling your jewelry at the market on a Saturday, that probably is the right option for you, because you don't need to go and invest in a card machine. You don't need to go and buy a card machine. You could use your mobile phone. I think in other scenarios where maybe the number of transactions that you're facilitating on a daily basis is, maybe you're doing 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 transactions on a daily basis, to use your phone for that whilst, you may be having to take calls, or the battery on your phone is starting to run low.
Yes.
Those use cases may, I guess, require you to have a dedicated card machine, and that may be the step for you. So our kind of advice is, for someone that's dabbling in taking payments, downloading the app and not buying the card machine is probably a nice entry level, where they can get their merchant account set up, they can go through that FICA process, they can test the functionality and get used to it, they can get their settlements into their bank accounts. And I guess once they recognize that, okay, I can now take payments, maybe I need to scale up, or maybe I need to take payments over a longer duration during the day, or more payments, or I need to print tool slips, then I think we almost kind of move them up in terms of the devices that we have, and find the right device for that merchant.
Got you. And then another question, I see there's something happening in the Q&A, but before we go there, you were mentioning the mover and the shaker, right? Especially shaker. You buy it once off and it's yours. So do you ever have maintenance issues? So is there any, so now I've paid my amount for it, whatever, I think it's 1,000 Rand if I'm choosing the right price.
Yeah. So the solo is 999. The mover is 399, and the flyer is 1799. I think the answer to your question, Rebecca, once you own that device, it does come with a warranty. So if there is any hardware default, or let's say there's a failure on a batch of devices, which doesn't happen very often at all, but those devices would be warranted, and we'd switch them out. The ongoing maintenance, I mean, they're obviously they use batteries, so you need to charge them up. But we've got card machines out in the field that are sort of 3, 4, 5 years old now, and are still able to take payments. So it is a relatively, if you look at the life of the duration of use of that card machine, it's a very low cost to get into taking payments. And the only other sort of maintenance, I guess, would be on the machines that are able to print. You potentially need to buy printer rolls, depending on how much printing you're doing on those card machines. But other than that, there's no maintenance required.
Okay, great. Thank you. And Cindy, you are busy. Thank you so much for answering those questions. And there's the link in the chat as well for anyone. And we're going to have Sis Brenda come through just now, so while she unmutes and switches on her video. But thank you so much, Graeme, for giving us some of that insight. But we'll circle back to you after Sis Brenda shared, and then maybe we can go into the conversation around the higher pricing if you want to, but
cool.
Let's see.
Happy to do that.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, Sis Brenda. How are you, Sis One?
I'm good. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm so happy you're here, and you are a user of the device. And this is us now just giving us as practitioners an opportunity to hear the other side of being the user of Ikoka, and possibly how you started. What's your story a little bit around that?
Oh, okay. I'm happy to be here, guys. Nice to have me. My son disappeared December 2020, 10th of December 2020. So from that moment, I started writing every day, whatever that was happening. I'll start writing it down. And then that was a way of.
Okay, so I think the internet bandwidth there issue somewhere. I don't know if Sis Brenda can hear me, but she's visibly not there at the moment. So I think what we will do, my colleague, either Cindy, my colleague, or someone will just touch base. Okay, are you still there, Sis Brenda? Let me just give you a minute. Okay. All right. So just in case while we're waiting there, I just want to go into some of the Q&A questions to see if there's anything that possibly Graeme wants to maybe go into detail into it. But okay, Sis Brenda's there again. Sis, go ahead, Sis Brenda. We can unmute you. If the bandwidth is a problem, we can switch off the video if you want to, so that the most important is your story.
Okay, and then when I reached the end with the police, there was nothing, no information. So I decided that no, okay, I'm going to write my book. I wrote my book just a month before I received my copies. I went to my bank and I told them, listen, I'm writing a book here, so I need a swiping machine. How does it work? Then they said, no, the swiping machine is connected to a business account. So I had to open a business account for my books, which is the Brenda's bookshelf. So they offered me a speed point. And I said, okay, how does it work? Because I know there's a Ikoka out there that I've seen and I've looked into it. And they said, okay, our machine, we up, of course, you have to pay a monthly fee. I said, no, I'm not going to go with your monthly fee. Open my account, I shall be back. Then I consulted a Ikoka machine. I got my machine. My books came on the 10th of October. They arrived from Cape Town. And then I received my machine a day or two later. Then that was it. I walk around with this machine. It is the best thing to have ever developed, actually, because it's only on the 10th, on the 11th, it will be 1 month since I've received my copies. Besides, there are the ones that are with Amazon and Take a Lot. I'm always having a book in my bag. When you go there, I was walking around in a shopping mall. Then there was this gentleman who was looking at me, and then I approached him. I took out my bag, took out my book. I said, please buy my book. And he said, oh, you are the author. I said, yes, I am. And then he said, oh, this is so good, but unfortunately, I don't have cash. I said, not to worry. I've got a machine. I've got a card machine with me. He said, oh my God.
Yes, you can keep going, Sis Brenda, because we want to hear you
me
more. Yes, we can hear you. We want to hear you better because the bandwidth, I think, is not good from my side. No worries. Keep going, Sis Wam.
So, oh yes, I work for a very big organization, which is people are coming in. We are the financial industry. People are coming in and out and going. My machine is always there. People are not having any cash anymore. And even if I get someone who's carrying cash, I actually ask them, don't you have a card? Because I've got a machine. It's easy. The card is, your money is safe. And the fee, it's so little that you don't even see it. It is the best thing that have ever happened. Every day, right now, before this meeting with you guys, I've just sold a book. This guy just swiped. It is the best thing to have ever invented. And I've already sold over 100 books, less than a month. On my launch, which was the 20th of this month, last month of October, I sold close to 7,000 Rand in sales. No cash, nothing, just my Ikoka machine. I will actually advise, because people are really not carrying cash anymore. People are card people. And sometimes they run away from buying to say, I don't have cash, I don't have cash. And then you just beat them up and say, listen, you don't have cash? I've got the card machine. That is the best thing to ever invented. I love it. I'm going to have my second launch in Eswatini, which uses the same currency as the rand. I'm taking my machine with me everywhere I go.
Wonderful. Thank you, Sister Brenda.
Yes,
I mean,
remember,
you
small,
can all
and
claps.
the last thing,
Yes, my dear.
the other thing is that as small as businesses, even the carrying cash, we are putting ourselves at risk. People will be looking at you busy collecting this cash, collecting this cash. It is not good for you. On the other hand, there's so much crime happening out there. We need to be safe all the time. This machine, nothing. Your money goes straight into your bank account. No stress. Ikoka will put it in there. Send me the emails. The emails are rocking in every day because I do have a sale every day. The books are really flowing off the shelves. And this machine, I'm in places with it. It's the best thing to have ever invented. Thank you, Ikoka machine. You are the best.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sis Brenda. I mean, you've shared quite a lot there, and your journey. It's a personal story of starting, why you started, what you started. It came from a sad point, but you used it as a way to go through your process and your journey of your son. And with that, you also were out there to share your story, and you didn't allow no money or no hard cash to stand in your way, or this monthly fee you have to now pay for a bank. And Ikoka was the one that helped you make sales. I like your story on your risk. It reduces your risk of, imagine walking around with 7,000 Rand and constantly just wouldn't be safe. So quick thing, the email, what email do you get? What's that about? Sorry.
Every transaction, every transaction that I did. For right now, I just sold one of my books now. Tomorrow morning, before, even earlier, it will depend on the network, I think. I'll get an email to say my transaction from the bank. My bank will send me an email that my transaction has been paid from Ikoka. And Ikoka sent me the whole statement of my payments. For instance, on a daily basis, you might say, for instance, when I was having my launch, I sold quite a number of books. So what Ikoka does, they put the payment of that day together, and then they put it through as one, because each book is 250 rands. So it won't be 250, 250, 250. No, they just group it together and then they send it to you into your bank. And then I think I received the long statement once, because I'm new, only a month old on this machine. So I think that's when you get all the reports, actually. I'm still learning the machine. Fantastic device to have. So I don't have much experience on it, but so far so good. Lovely machine. Thank you, guys. Fantastic.
Oh, wonderful. Great. Thank you very much, Sis Brenda. Thank you very much, Graeme. And I don't know if there's any questions. However, please do send love to Sis Brenda and thoughts and prayers for also her story and the journey she's going through around her son, who's been missing since 2020. And that's heartbreaking. And I'm so happy that you somehow rose above the storm, which is Rise Above the Storm is the book of Brenda. And really channeling that and contributing to society around the story.
Thank you.
Chris, is there anything, questions? Yes, we're recording. Quick questions, is Brenda. Which one are you using, by the way? Just for interest's sake. And then I'll hand over to
you. I'm using the Shaker Solo.
The Shaker
I'm
Solo.
using the Shaker Solo.
Nice.
Yes. So, because I wanted the one with the printing, with the sleep, because mostly I'm in the industry where consultants, they need to do this, they need to collect their bill.
Yes.
your petrol bills, your sales and everything. So I don't want anything. I don't want someone to say, if you can't give me a slip, I'm not going to buy. No, the slip is there. I'll give it to you. Just give me your card. I'm ready.
I'm ready for you. And Funje, a problem.
I am ready for you guys. They. Ready. No excuse for not buying. You don't have cash, you try.
That's wonderful. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Graeme, you have any thoughts? I can see you unmuted, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I think, I mean, just hats off to Brenda. I think she's got an incredible story. It's the first time I'm meeting her today, and she pretty much sums up our purpose, right? This is exactly, I guess, the problem we're trying to solve, in that, you know, it has been difficult for people to participate in this payments economy, and these solutions, I guess, you know, address these very unique, very important use cases for, you know, people following their passions and hobbies and starting businesses and becoming entrepreneurs. And really, yeah, well done, Brenda. I'm really, I guess, moved by your story, and super glad that that we've been able to help you out and provide you with a solution.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. I just want to see anything else on that side that you've picked up, Christoph. You have a question as well?
I don't have a question myself, but I see that there are quite a bit of questions in the Q&A that Cindy, by the way, Cindy, if you don't know, Cindy Reinders is also from Ikoka. Must be apparent from the accuracy of her answers to many of the questions, but we can also have Cindy in the room too, because she's been answering most of the questions. So I don't know, Rebecca, maybe Cindy's got a question that she wants us to discuss specifically, or bring someone into the room that's raised a specific question that we need to discuss.
All right.
Maybe while we're waiting, I can address the sort of fee structure that came up in your poll. So, I mean, I think, you know, to Brenda's story, obviously the card machine itself is, I guess, a means to accepting a payment. There is a transaction fee associated with a credit card, you know, payment. Our transaction fees start at 2.75% of the value of that transaction, and we pride ourselves in having amongst the lowest rates in the market. So that's the starting point. I think the important for the audience to understand that as the volume of transactions through those devices increases, we kind of hit new thresholds, and we will start to drop those transaction fees. And we've got quite a nice scheme in that this happens automatically. So you don't have to phone us and say, listen, I'm now doing 20,000 rands worth of transactions a month, or 50,000 rands. Can you adjust my rate? We've actually developed the ability to auto adjust that as your transaction volumes grow. So as you hit new thresholds, your rates will actually come down. So yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, one of the questions there was fees are high. You know, and I guess the reality is credit cards, you know, we don't print the cards, we don't have the bank accounts, so we're kind of relying on infrastructure that is set up at a banking system level, and those are the fees that system kind of dictates to us. So, you know, the trade-off, I guess, and Brenda spoke to it, is really the cost of carrying cash, or the cost of keeping cash. And, you know, we all know that, you know, cash is inefficient in that, you know, I may be able to take cash, but then I sit with that cash and it's risky for me to sit with cash, and then I've got to go and deposit that cash. So it is a very inefficient way of transacting, and hopefully, you know, the transaction fee that's payable on credit card transactions should hopefully account for that risk and that inconvenience. And, you know, that's, I guess, the justification for a fee. So I don't know if that maybe answers some of the questions on the poll, but happy to take any other questions that may arise there.
And is that why you wait for accumulate all the sales for the day, accumulate? Because what I picked up from Brenda is, if she sells 5, it won't be 250 go 250, but 250 times 5 accumulation, then
No,
it's
so that's not exactly the reason, Rebecca. I mean, the reason is more of so, you know, as every hour of the day passes, we're accumulating transactions and you know, we're almost sweeping all of those transactions out of our account and settling them into merchant accounts. We don't do that, you know, on a per transaction basis. We do that almost on a daily basis. So if a merchant's only doing one transaction a day, yes, then we'll sweep that single transaction. But if there are multiple transactions, we do a sweep at the end of the day and we settle into the merchant's bank account.
great. Thank you.
There's quite a lot of, you asked about the questions, Rebecca. There are quite a lot of more technical orientated questions, and maybe Cindy can address one or two of them. I would love, Graeme, if we can also just pause for a moment on the broader context of financial services being digitalized. You know, sort of. So we are practitioners out there supporting small businesses, and they ask us questions. You know, sort of. So they ask us, "No, what are my options?" You know, sort of. I see this guy's got that kind of thing, and so on. You know, sort of. Now, financial, perhaps the taking payments from clients, especially if you're selling, if you're kind of in the retail space, maybe if you're in the consulting space, you're not going to, you know, kind of pull out your card machine, you know, sort of after completing your coaching session or something like that, you know, sort of that may work a bit differently, but still there's some electronic payments happening.
Yes.
But there's a broader context to this, you know, sort of that business or life is becoming more digital, you know, sort of. So you come from the entertainment industry into financial services, but every industry is affected with that, you know, sort of. What would you say us as business advisors? How do we stay up to date that we can give pointed guidance to our clients in making the shifts that they need to do in this new age that we're living in?
Yeah, great question, Christoph. And it is, like, there is so much happening out there. So to kind of distill it down to one or two pieces of advice, I think it is quite a big task, but let me do my best. 100% right. Card payments, I think card machines have almost been in place and have become ubiquitous in a lot of retail environments and merchant environments. The transition or the advice, I guess, you know, for the team on the call in terms of giving advice to your customers is really around how are you transacting with your customers. So traditionally, it's probably been in a physical world, or you've had a brick and mortar store, you've had an office where you're doing some consulting. Like, more and more, that business is shifting into an environment that is now being disrupted. So it's either via a web page, or there's a lot of WhatsApp communication that's going back and forth, or there's a lot of video calls and video advice that's happening. And how do you adapt to that? And I think, you know, our answer to that is, and let's take your example of the consulting. You know, you're not going to pull out your card machine if you've given an hour's worth of consulting. One of the great, I guess, innovations that we've worked on and that we've launched is a concept called a payment link, which allows you as a practitioner or a dietitian or a yoga instructor or whatever your service is, to be able to log into your merchant dashboard if you're an Ikoka merchant, create a payment link essentially, and then WhatsApp that or email that, or, you know, send that via a text message to your customer. And the reason you'd want to do that is, to your exact point, maybe there's a 50% deposit that's required up front before that consultation happens. Maybe there's a monthly statement that gets generated, and it's not pay per visit, it's a pay at the end of the month for, you know, all the hours of consulting time or whatever it is. So I think you've got to consider what is the nature of the business that you're conducting. My advice would be, if it's physical right now, what are you doing to embrace and take advantage of sort of an online or a mobile-based environment? And there are lots of tools and solutions out there. Are you able to create a website? Are you able to create a shopping basket on a website? Can you facilitate credit card or instant EFT payments via that website? If it's not a website, could you make use of something like a payment link? So another great use case is things like BNBs that want to get deposits up front. In the old days, you would, I guess, send an email with your invoice and your banking details, and the person on the other side would have to log into their banking app and would have to load up a new beneficiary, and hopefully they've typed in their account number properly, and they'd have to put in a reference number. like that seems so archaic when you can just send somebody a link, they click the link and they can put in their credit card number and the transaction gets settled, and you know exactly how to match that. There's no reconciliation back to your bank account. So I think those tools and those solutions are are definitely trying to embrace like the digital way of working and the migration in terms of consumer habits from physical meeting face to face and taking payments either in cash or by card into like an online world and a more digital space.
We're learning every day. It seems every day there's something new. So if I have a coaching session where I require 50% deposit beforehand, I send the link, the transaction is done, I get it against the client that I sent it to, and all systems go without any. It's credit card based, so they need to have a card, but most people do, or most businesses do.
Yeah, so that payment link example also facilitates instant EFT. So even if you don't have a credit card, the recipient can essentially click the link, choose the instant EFT option. That will require that they log into their bank account. But I think the process of instant EFT has evolved such that you can log into your own account. The beneficiary is auto-created, the amount is auto-populated, the reference is kind of generated. So you cut out that admin on the user side. So you don't necessarily have to have a credit card to make use of a payment link. And I think that's the other thing. You don't have to buy a card machine to get into our world and our ecosystem. You can literally register yourself as a merchant by going to our website. You go through the FICA process, so we can essentially, we know where to settle your funds. And then if you want to download the Android application and start taking payments, or if you want to start sending pay links, you don't have to have a card machine at all. So I think that's part of our product ethos is, I guess, how do we help those small businesses to start, manage, and grow their business? And there are a bunch of tools and services that will help them do that. Just some of the questions I'm seeing popping up here, maybe I can just take one or two of them and answer them. So who carries the risk in the event that the item purchased is faulty? I assume the item purchased means the card machine there. And like I say, if it is a faulty card machine, it's under warranty, and we will replace that card machine at no cost to whoever bought it. So yeah, pretty happy that we can deal with that.
Can we ask Khomotso to speak, Graeme? He's got an interesting one around safety of data. Khomotso, if
Sure.
you can explain what your question is. You just need to unmute, Khomotso. Or maybe he doesn't want to talk.
Maybe he doesn't want to talk. Let me address it anyway.
There is. Khomotso.
Hi, everyone. No, my question it's purely around the safety of the customer information, because I think we all know of the POPI Act and the so-called traditional transactions from the banks. A lot of customers are used to that, and they trust that. Ikoka and other payment options that are there, which are not from the traditional banks, they tend to come with some sort of doubt, especially to the customers. I think we can all agree that where money is involved, people tend to hold back a little bit, especially they have trust issues. So what I want to know in terms of Ikoka, I know when you make a transaction, that transaction contains the details of the person making the payment. So I would assume that it would go onto some form of database or cloud within your company to say this transaction, there'll be a trail of that transaction basically somewhere in your cloud or your database. So how safe it is, considering the fact that there's the cyber attacks and things like those?
Yeah, great question, Khomotso. I think, let me put your mind at ease. We don't, we're a payment services provider, so we're regulated by, you know, the same regulations that banks are regulated by. We go through audits. We have to pass certain tests in order to keep our compliance. So I think that's the one thing I want to say. On the other hand, we don't store customer information necessarily. We have to know who our merchants are, and we're obliged to know who our merchants are, and we are obliged to know what type of business activity they're conducting. But the customers of that merchant, we don't store, we don't have information. Literally, those credit card numbers get passed through our system and go back to the bank and the credit card schemes, where the banking system and the credit card schemes will validate that, yes, this card is still valid, this is the amount, and we will essentially flag it as a successful transaction. And we also don't sit on customer bank accounts as such. So we're not sitting on the customer's funds. We literally switch those funds and we settle them into the bank accounts. So yeah, I mean, we obviously take privacy very seriously, in that we do store information and banking account detail for our merchants, because we need to know where to settle those funds to. But it's, you know, we operate under strict sort of laws and regulations and audit requirements, and, you know, in order to keep our certification and our ability to continue to provide the services we provide. There's a question around interested in holding some of your equity. How many dividends or shares did we pay last year? So we're not a listed company, Thabo. We're privately kind of funded and owned. So there's very little, I guess, entry from a share perspective or participation in shares that's available into our business as it stands. Hopefully one day maybe we list, and then you can buy shares in Ikoka.
That's a nice question for you. Hey?
Can you set up a payment link onto invoice on Sage Accounting? So at the moment you can't. That's a great question. We have had discussions with the Sage team, and that is one of the integrations that we would look to do. But if you were to set up your invoice in Sage, there's no reason why you couldn't use the payment link that we create out of your merchant dashboard and attach it to that invoice, which closes the loop on, I guess, the recon process. But the direct integration, as we speak today, doesn't exist. No. As a follow-up, does that mean we don't keep audit trails of payments? If we do, how long do we keep them? Yeah, good question. I would have to check with our my CTO team on this. We do obviously keep transaction data. How long we keep that for will be governed by what the law says we need to keep it. Unfortunately, I don't know what that period is. It probably is in the region of 5 years.
Wow, wonderful. Awesome questions. I don't know if my colleagues, Derek, Mercy, Bongi, Bonnie, if you have anything you would like to share, and also Sis Brenda, any thoughts around that? Please, as usual, if I see you unmute, I will then welcome you.
Okay. Yes.
Derek, go ahead.
Okay, and thanks a lot, Graeme, for your time, and also for sharing this valuable information with regard. But one thing maybe I just want to check with you is to check if there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. It's just to check. Yeah, it's just to check if. Is there a way in which Ikoka would want to list in the near future, and how will that be communicated? Because what we have picked up from most companies, which I believe that it will add value to small businesses. You find that small businesses participate, help grow these companies, but when it comes to shareholding or share beneficiation, that is passed to big corporates and those that would be out there who have muscles and all that. Would that be something that would be considered in case you list, so that the small businesses owners, those who are the users, would have a good kind of chunk of share in the business itself?
Yeah. Again, Derek, I think Good question, and I'm not sure it's been given enough consideration on our side, only because like we're still a very small player in the financial ecosystem. You know, we're nowhere near the level of a bank. We're a fintech player, obviously, and you know we're growing our merchant base. We're growing out our staff at the moment. We are, you know, from our perspective, I guess, making sure that we penetrate as much of South Africa with payment solutions and grow our business to the point where maybe we get to the size where it becomes interesting. It's you know, that question would need to be tabled, but as we stand right now, we are far too small to kind of take on, I guess, a listing at that sort of level.
All right.
There is a question from Paul that I'd quickly like to address about if his device gets stolen and you can retrieve 100%, Paul, you can retrieve that information.
Exactly. As Cindy says, we'll do a change of ownership and we'll shift those account details across. We go through a bit of a process to make sure that, you know, when we change bank details, we're doing it responsibly. But that is a scenario that we can cater for, Paul.
Cindy, you were quite active in answering quite a bit of the more fact-based questions early on. Were there any questions that came as a surprise to you? That's kind of an interesting one that you want to point to, or two or three?
So I think there was one or two questions around the settlement period, which Graeme touched on, and obviously he mentioned that we sort of on a daily basis reconcile and settle the fees into the account. But often what happens is we are dependent on the merchant's bank account, and the merchant bank account sometimes takes a little bit longer to release the fees. So for anything between 24 and 48 hours. So that was a question that came up. And then something I think also that's important to note and is, I know with small businesses, there's obviously an issue with funding. And that's an opportunity that we've addressed, and we've partnered with with Retail Capital in the sense that we, as a merchant trades, there's a small level of criteria that we allow for the merchant that they need to qualify. But then that merchant will qualify for small business loans quite quickly based on the volume that they transact through the device. And that's an opportunity in a way that we can support merchants to get small business funding without having to have massive qualifications like the banks do, you know. And then what we do is we take the fee off your future sales, and that also makes that repayment of that business funding, or we call it a cash advance. We make that a less impact on that small business owner. And that's one I wanted to mention. And then my last mention is also that we do have an offer for all IBASA members that you will get a 10% discount on all devices. If you visit our website, you can just type in the code IBASA and then we'll give you a 10% discount.
So practitioners. That's going to be okay. Great. Thank you for sharing that. So that is the discount, your bonus discount code as an IBASA member. So you could use that. You can encourage your clients to be IBASA members as well.
Cindy, how does that work? You go onto the website. What is the avenue for one to follow up on this?
Go through the website, and on your checkout, it'll give you an opportunity to enter a discount code, and that's all you do as you add the capital or capitals ABASA, and it will automatically apply as you check out.
No.
And then there's a question by Winston as well. Are clients able to reverse transactions, Graeme?
Yeah. By reverse, Winston, I'm assuming you're talking about a refund from a merchant's perspective, and absolutely yes, the refunds are part of kind of the world of payments as far as we're concerned, and if a refund needs to be made, there is refund capability both in the digital payments world as well as in the card machine world.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Christoph.
Rebecca, I wanted to say we do have the opportunity to maybe bring one or two of the attendees in to share their experiences too in terms of the transitions that they're making with their clients. So if there is someone in the room that has got an interesting case to share how they actually went about, because it's not only the technology that's interesting or relevant, to know there's a device and a system that works easy and you can send a link or you can take a card payment, or as we heard from Cindy, we can even use our trade history as a way of actually getting funding for our stock, sort of through, that's all exciting stuff, but how do we go about in helping our clients, and, sort of where are the bottlenecks or the difficulties? So, I mean, the one thing that we already saw in the poll is that there's a perception out there that this is an expensive service. I'm going to be much better off taking cash from people, so I'm not sure if there are any business advisors in the room that's worked with their clients in terms of digitalizing, taking payment, or any other business process, and perhaps there are some few tips or advice or experiences we can share. That what are the things that make it work better for us to work with our clients in introducing these new ways of doing. So I don't see any hands, but you can raise your hand, to speak about that.
Hi, Christoph.
There's Derek. Hi, Derek.
Yes, I just wanted to check with Cindy, especially for clarities, because to check if how long will this offer of if you want to get the discount, how long will this be? So that, because we would like to publish in our different platforms, CEDA platform, IBASA platform, EPI platform. So if we can have a guidance, because I believe that would involve even those who are not part of the webinar today, but just to get a feel as to how long will this be, so that we when we do the promotions, we know that we have some guidelines around that. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Derek.
Derek, I've set it for 3 months for now, so until end of Jan. But I think because we obviously always want to support you guys in your efforts, we'll extend it if you let me know you need a little bit longer. I'm happy to do that as well.
Oh, wonderful. So that works.
Give it a year.
Yeah,
I'll do that, Dan.
That's wonderful, because for any of our clients that are selling now, we're coming into the silly month, the Christmas season. I know there's markets that happen in Cape Town, and there's people who sell earrings and all the things. So this is an opportunity for us to connect with those individuals and those clients of ours to then use this code. That would be wonderful. Thank you very much. Look at those claps. Thank you for all those claps and those lovely reactions and emojis. Any of my other colleagues have any thoughts or questions? Please feel free. And then anyone else in the group. Otherwise, it seems like we're coming to an end.
We had last month we spoke about customer relation management and digitalizing that part of our process. So I'm wondering, if there's anyone in the room that's kind of tried that out in making some changes, perhaps with their clients. I can share, Tobeka. It's my experience with working with small business clients is that a shift in culture is a magnificent thing to move the business forward, but it's a huge stumbling block in getting done. So if the pain of the people that have to work on using new ways of doing is not great enough, they resist that. They're comfortable in the old way of doing. So I've seen many small business clients that I've been a mentor or coach with, where they desire to shift their business into the new age of using much more efficient and effective electronic means of doing stuff, but they just can't get their teams to do it. So I'm not sure if there's anyone else in the room. I see Winston is raising his hand, so through to his nature.
It's so interesting while you get Winston in, though. It's interesting because people who are new in the space, they will automatically go with the most ease. So you think of Sis Brenda. She was like, yes, I'll do it. There was no shift of moving from analog to digital kind of thing. Yeah. Versus someone who was analog now needs to shift to digital, if I use that as a way to understand, as shifting the mindset now to say, yes, you've been doing very well with cash, phenomenal. But then a person like Brenda will be like, it reduces risk. It saves you time on keeping track of your finances. Those are the things. And I think it's where you need to bring people to connect with other people that are using the new technology so that they hear it in real form.
Yes. Yeah. I agree there.
No, thank you. I love your story, Sis Brenda. Anything
You're
you want to
welcome.
share and say anything before we have Winston?
Asking Brenda, or are we asking?
I'm asking Brenda, just to bring her voice in as well. If there's anything before Winston shares. Is there
Yes.
anything else you want to share, Matt?
I'm almost a month old using the machine in this business of my book, which is going very well and going places. I think I'll go a long way with the iKhokha. It makes my life very easy. My son is still missing. Maybe one day he'll pitch up. And when he comes back, actually, I'm going to thank him for going, actually, for taking the short left, because I wouldn't have found myself. I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm changing lives. People are actually, they are so excited about the book. They're so happy. I'm healing wounds, actually. There's so many people that are wounded out there. I've just sold over 100 copies. I'm happy. I'm going forward. The sky is the limit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma. And the heart emojis, please, for that. And it's really about us tapping into whatever our purpose and our challenges that come before us and use those as stepping stones instead of them bringing us down and giving up. And I'm so grateful for your grace. We are so grateful for the trust and the ability to be vulnerable and honest, because from those spaces comes phenomenalness, and you are just showing that with your book. Thank you so much. I will surely buy the book, and I'm happy we have the link.
You are welcome.
And we will put it in the chat.
The link is in the chat.
Put it again because it's far up now, so that it's fresh. And on that note, Winston, it's your turn. After Winston, Teba. Go put Winston. Are you there?
Are you able to hear me?
100%. Go ahead.
Excellent. Thank you. Just a quick comment. Hi, Christoph. Long time no see. And to Becca. Lovely as always. My comment is just that I asked the question earlier on about the 10% payment that the spaza shop charged me because I need to get some cash in, whether it's reasonable or not. And anyway, it's not that unreasonable. I suppose if you, as the answer was, if you take into account the risk involved, that sort of thing, and the transaction cost, and obviously the availability as well. The reason I needed to get the cash was that I was actually, one of the guys I was consulting with had opened a coffee shop. So I bought a couple of coffees by his place. He was taking a few photos, and then he never had a card machine. So I had to go find a spaza shop close by. There were no ATMs in the area. So I had to find a spaza shop to get cash from them, and that's what happened. But and this was a good few months ago, but for the past few years, I've been a devout proponent of the fact that small businesses need to have these cards, because so many times I've tried to transact and I wasn't able to, and that's just losing business. It's as simple as that. Thanks.
Lost sale.
Thank you, Winston. Thank you. Teba.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to check the people using that machines. Is it acceptable if I'm saying to the customer, I take cash, but if you want to use card, I will charge you 2.75% to cover the charges. Is it acceptable?
Yeah, maybe let me take that one. I think interesting question in terms of like how you interact with the customers. I mean, the generally accepted practice is that, you know, the customer doesn't pay more to use their credit card. That's on the merchant. And, you know, the benefit, I think, you know, we've kind of outlined as not having to hold or deposit or take the risk on, you know, on keeping cash with you. So the transaction fee is, I guess, a convenience fee from that perspective. But yeah, it's an interesting take to ask the customer to cover the transaction fee. I guess in some instances, I have seen, you know, like certain merchants will not accept a credit card payment below a certain value. And that, I guess, is so that, you know, they're probably, it's not worth their while, or maybe they're happy to sit on small amounts of cash. So I think that is probably a more acceptable practice. But yeah, interesting to ask your customers to pay for the credit card payment. I don't know how well that will go down, but I'm keen to get feedback on how well it goes down.
Yeah. Thank you, T, for asking that question. I mean, what I would like you to do then is to test it out, to say, let me collect the money, let me go to the bank, let me do the deposit. How much time did I spend? How much did it cost me to do that?
Yeah.
And what did I get back, right? Let's then test that out and prototype it then. See how much you get charged. Then you get your amount. And then you try that for the whole week, you keep doing that, or whichever way you do it, or if you do it once a week. And then while you're walking around with all this money, how are you feeling? Are you relaxed? Are you feeling stressed? Is there a lot of energy of fear so that you are not mugged? You see, colleagues, there's a lot of stuff around it. I'm just asking. I'm not saying, yes, go for it. I'm not selling, but I'm looking at this whole experience holistically. Like 2.75%, what's worth all that energy involved? Anyway.
I'll do something there, Rebecca, in terms of an approach to support entrepreneurs, because we can easily, from our context, kind of get our favorite flavor of technology and kind of like get kind of running away in a way ahead of our clients in terms of those things, you know, sort of, but to ask from their perspective, you know, sort of what is it in your life that you want to make a difference with in terms of the use of technology, and then you introduce those things, you know, sort of those that don't make sense to you, you don't have to, you sort of. So the reality of it is that there are many micro businesses that are cash-based and that will stay so because that's their choice, you know, that's their lifestyle, that's their choice. But if you want to have so I'm not sure, was it Tabo that asked the question, if you're building a business that you want to leverage into growing and getting bigger, then you rather want to have proper records and build, you know, sort of a proof for future finance that you want for the business, for instance, you know, sort of, and then you have to do what Rebecca has been talking about in terms of sales going through the bank, so that there's proof of those sales, you know, sort of. Without the proof of those sales, you will not get the business finance that you need. So I think that the story that you tell, Rebecca, around asking the question for the client as a practitioner, you know, sort of, is an important one, so that they can see the picture, that they make the choice, you know, sort of. But yeah, I find it sometimes myself, I need to keep back because I get excited about new technology and innovation and want to see my clients the same. And it normally backfires.
Yeah. Because it's all in, depends where we come from and our experiences. But I think really we could have a long conversation around this. And I think it's always fun to end things while they're fun and you don't get bored and people don't disappear without us being able to fully saying goodbye to everyone, sharing some insight to what our next webinar is. And really, I would like to really thank Ikoka for coming and sharing with us as business practitioners on how we can support our clients to use the card machine as a way of safety, of convenience, and also of way to manage your books at the end as well. So it all is holistic. We are very grateful to you guys for spending time with us here, and Sis Brenda for also coming to sharing your story, which propelled you to where you're at now on writing a book. And I'm sure there'll be some of us who will buy that book. I look forward to maybe even you doing it in audio. Ikoka, maybe you guys can help, because I think that will be a nice way to hear her verbally share that on partnering with that, so we can listen to the book and hear the story as well with her voice. I'm a big audiobook believer. Anyway, on that note,
thank you for having me.
Go ahead, Sis Brenda.
Oh, thank you for having me. I think Kindle does have it on audio because it's on Amazon Kindle and SmartWords and on Tekala.
With your voice.
So you've got the choices. No, it's not my voice. Oh, you want my voice? Okay, Ikoka will plan it. Don't worry. My voice.
No, we don't. Some American voice. I want Brenda's voice.
You want the original, the authentic one? Yes.
Exactly right. You see, everyone's agreeing with me. Thank you so much. And on that note,
yes, I can see that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobeka. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Cindy. And really, this is an opportunity to let you all know this is the last month before we are on holiday. So our last webinar will be on how to become an independent director for small business clients who do not need your advisory service any longer. Isn't that, it's a lovely question. It kind of connects with what was asked earlier on small businesses and Ikoka, directorship and ownership and shares. And so please do register for that. Please share that with everybody else. And as you know, we also have our other side of the work we do, of the coin, is taking care of our clients, which means business owners. This is an opportunity to attend our last Biz Clinic session that will be in the first Friday of next month. And then we will be on holiday. And please feel free to go onto our YouTube channel, where you will find the videos of all our previous webinars, of all the different topics we have tackled here together. And we are so grateful to Sida, our awesome colleagues. Thank you, Sis Bongi. Thank you, Bonnie, for being here and you supporting this journey that we are on as a country, as well as Ibasa, as usual. Thank you, but Derek, thanks, Sis. Did I just go blank on my favorite colleague?
Can I just make one announcement before we finish?
Yes, you will.
Yeah,
switch the camera on, Derek. We need to see your face as well.
Yes.
No. I've got a load shedding, so it's a poor network. I'm trying to run on my reserve data. So
No problem. And thank you also, Mercy, for being here from Ibasa. And on that note, I will give
Derek wants to make an announcement. He says
I'll give Derek a minute for an announcement. And on that note, also Sis Bongi, if there's anything from Sida. Over to you, Derek.
Oh, that's great. And thank you very much. This was very impactful, and we're looking forward to the next. The announcement is just that I think for those who have received the communication on the 24th of November, we are having our AGM as Ibasa. We sent communication. If you have not received any, please send the email to me or to info@ibasa.org.za, or you can send to MD so that we can forward you the invitation officially. So we are looking forward to having everybody. It's going to be hybrid. It's going to be a face-to-face, and those who will be connecting online, you're still going to connect online. So we are looking forward to this great event for Ibasa, and we are hoping that you'll be joining us. And thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much, Derek. Sis Bongi, any announcement, any thoughts? Thank you.
I don't know why my video, all right. Okay. Yes, thank you, Tobeka. Thank you for facilitating this series. And I would like to thank Ikoka as well as Brenda. But most importantly, I would like to thank our audience for making the time. We hope you have learned and are taking something away, something that you will share with your clients. We are practitioners of small business development, and those small businesses are looking upon us for guidance on new ways or approaches of doing their business. And this is one of the information that you have that you can share with our small business development community so that they can be efficient and they can also be avoiding the risk of crime that is happening in our daily lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Sis Gungi. Thank you very much. Thank you, Christoph, for co-facilitating and for producing and doing all the tech behind the scenes.
If it's about being better at serving our clients, which are the small businesses that are keeping this economy going, by the way, then I'm all for it. And I think those regular names that are showing up, I've learned to have a similar attitude. So guys, thank you for your contribution to our country by supporting small businesses, and let's get better at what we do, and this is what CPD is about. This is what this webinar series is about. So next month we've got an interesting one in terms of directorships, and sometimes we work with the clients so successfully that they become bigger and they need a board, so I'm looking forward to learn about that too, and hope to see most of you there on the 8th of December. It's not so far off, just before many of us break, and the half of us have a break, the other half are breaking our backs in that time, so maybe as practitioners we are able to relax a bit in December, but many of our clients are going out there, and this is the time of the year to make up for the slowness that's in the rest of the year. So we must just be cognizant of that too. Everyone is not having a break in December.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to Becca for your easy way of taking us through the hour and a half of learning, and looking forward to our next session.
Great. Thank you very much, Christoph. Thank you, everybody. Take care of yourself. Take care of your mental health. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to everyone around you. Lots of love, and see you on the 8th of December. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.